Bachelor's in Electronics and Communication. Okay. So today, as I told earlier, I'll be covering the options software engineering. I will talk about the higher studies. Then I will talk about the career in academic and research. Then I will also talk about type of industries. I will also talk about the product development flow. That's very important for you to know how the products are developed. Okay. Then I'll talk about the job types. That's also very important for you to know because there are different type of jobs. It's not only about R&D. R&D means say like hardware design or software design. It's not that job. There are so many other type of jobs in industry. Okay, now I'll talk about the expectation from industry. What the interviewer or the companies look from the candidates, and how to have a very good resume, because resume is the first step. Okay, now I'll talk about the skill sets required in core electronics field, the different fields. I'll talk say starting from embedded to signal processing to IoT to it's not IoT, AI to hardware to VLSI design. So I'll be covering end to end actually there. Okay, and I will also talk about the tools used in industry, because that's also very important for you, because when you are selecting a finally project, you need to consider these things actually. But you need to know what tools are used in industry, then you should work in on that actually, because but, your finally a project is one of the most important thing in your resume. Okay, then I will be talking about the specialized courses, both training center courses like CDAC courses to online learning. Okay, then at the end I'll be talking about the organization of a product company. And the first and most important thing for any of you is you need to have a proper planning actually. You need to know, you need to decide what you want to do after your engineering. Okay, because that you have to decide when you are at least in third year. Why that is important is that that's the first question any interviewer will ask you actually, wherever you go in campus interview or off campus interview. Okay, so you have to yeah, why it is important in interview is that because so then your interview will questions will vary according to your interest. Suppose you are interested in circuit design, for example, or hardware design. Okay, so the interviewer will not ask you much on the software, because he knows that you are not interested in that, right? So they will adapt the questions according to you. That's why it's very important actually. And having no objective actually will affect your interview itself actually, because mostly you'll be rejected there in interview itself. Okay, so the most important thing you need to consider in career planning is one is that you have to select your field based on your passion and interest. So it's very important to select something which you like to do. Okay, then only you can contribute 100%. Second thing is that you have to consider your skills and expertise, huh? So you need to have a good skills actually, whichever field you want to go. Okay, suppose you want to go in software. Okay, and you assume that you don't have good programming skills. Okay, either you can learn it. Okay, and if still you're not able to achieve that much, then better not to go there, because in every company it's not easy for you to survive, because there will be multiple projects running. Okay, so if you don't have good technical knowledge in that domain, you will not able to work actually. And company, the performance evaluation is very strict. Okay, so you have to always look in yourself actually. Am I capable, or am I good in that field actually? Then you select the field. That's very important. Okay, and the third thing you need to consider is the availability of job in that field. That is also very important. Please select in some field which has a more job opportunity, then you will have more flexibility there. Okay, and the last thing is that always look for long term opportunity. Please never look for short term benefit. Okay, many time what students will do is that they will look for only the bigger company names, and also only salary. Please never do that, because salary is nothing really. What it matters for you is your technical skills. Okay, assume that you are joining an IT company and you're going in financial domain, or such type of a sales force or such type of applications, you will have very limited growth actually long term. But whereas you go in a core domain, you will have always a good opportunity. And I can even compare the salary levels. For example, you are going to work in an embedded field. For example, you'll be paid almost 1.5 times what a normal software engineer. So if you're going to signal processing, you may be getting almost 3 times. If you're going to VLSI, it's 5 times. It's like that actually. So please understand that. So what you need always to look as a fresher is that to get a job, in a good, company, and or in a company where they do good work actually of your field of interest. That's very important. Please look into that aspect. Okay, because at the end your knowledge and skills that matter in your career growth. Okay, and then, as that knowledge is power. Here it's in company, it's knowledge is money, right? I mean, and you should in the field, that's most important. You should have good knowledge. Then you will be paid to that extent. Okay. So this is very important thing. You need to have a very proper planning, because for even whatever you want to do after your engineering, everything depending on your planning actually, because your objective, you need to know where you want to go, and then you need to decide whether you go for higher studies. Still, it matters actually. Okay. So because this is most important thing, always decide. So in this lecture, I'll be talking about different type of jobs and other things, so you will get an overview how an industry works, and how the product is developed. So then now you can, after hearing, you can really look into yourself and think, am I good in this job? Okay, I want to go in this job, but then I need to study these things. Okay, it's very important for you to know. Okay, and that's why I'm giving you this lecture also today. Okay, so I'll talk about the option after your engineering. So after engineering, you can go for higher studies. Okay, I'll be talking that soon. Then you can go for job. Job can be in industry, or it can be in academics, or in research field. Okay, so then you can become an entrepreneur. You can start your own something. That's again option. Now I'll talk about higher studies. Okay, so higher studies, you have a different options. So mainly MBA or ME or MTech. So I will talk about MBA, when it is useful and in which field it is useful. Okay. So I'll focus more on MEM Tech. Okay, so after your engineering, you can go for master's degree. Okay, and again I'm telling you one thing here. Doing master's degree is always highly beneficial if you are going in R&D. Okay, because if you are having ME or MTech, you'll be paid joining at a senior level in any company compared to a BE fresher. Okay, so you'll be paid more. So actually, what 2 years you are spending in your college for masters, it's going to add a huge benefit for you, and it will definitely help you in your career growth, promotions, and everything. Okay, and if somebody is more interested in research and other things, they can do PhD, or even if further you want to do, you can do specialized research called postdoctoral research, where you can work with different professors and all. Actually, you can have that option in India and abroad. Okay, now I'll talk about the higher studies in India. I'm focusing on the, engineering degrees here, engineering masters. Okay, so you have a different type of master's degree like ME, MTech, or research degrees like MS or MSc engineering, or MTech research, etc. Okay, these are offered at a various institutes, and typically, to get admission in ME or MTech, you need to have good gate score. That's required. And again, you need to have a very proper planning actually before you choose your specialization. It's very important. You need to decide what you want to do after your ME, because you have to select the field based on that. And again, as I told before, you need to select the specialization based on your skills. Okay, and the knowledge, that is very important. For why I've been okay. So suppose you want to go in signal processing. Okay, so then you can do signal processing. But one most important thing here you need to understand is that if you want to work in signal processing, you need to have a good fundamental knowledge of signal processing and very good knowledge in mathematics, and also you should have good programming skills either in C, C++ or MATLAB. Okay, suppose that is not your interest. Okay, please don't select signal processing. Okay, please keep this in your mind. Okay, so if you want to go in hardware design, you can select embedded system or electronics design, type of courses actually. Okay, or if you want to go in IC design, you please select VLSI. So like that you can do. Okay, so it's very important to decide based on your career planning again. And next thing is that never always look at the title of the course. Please see the syllabus. Now you can see the course content and syllabus in every college website or university website. Please see that before you finalize your master's degree. That's very important. Okay, now I'll talk about the higher studies in abroad. You can also do the master's degree in abroad. Okay, but that's again highly beneficial in few conditions. So one is like you wish to do masters in abroad and you want to work in abroad after your masters, then it's very good. Why it is important is helpful is that because you will have a visa for some more time actually. So you will get job in abroad easily. Otherwise as a fresh MTech from India, getting job in Europe, it's almost impossible actually. Okay, so if having masters from Europe or US, you will get you job there. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, so you need to really decide whether you want to work in that particular country after your masters. Okay, and if you want to do PhD, it's always good to do masters from abroad. The main reason is that when you do say like masters in abroad, like you will have more research facilities and other things actually, and you will get a lot of funding, etc. So then also having master's degree from abroad will help you to get PhD in the same university or under same same professors actually. So that will again help you. Okay, but now one more thing you have to consider here. Suppose assume that, okay, you think that, okay, I will do masters in abroad and I want to come back to India and work. Okay, then you please understand one thing: whether you do MTech from India or MS from America or MS from US or Europe, okay, all of them are paid equally in India. Okay, so please understand that. Don't assume that you do masters from MS US and come back to India as a fresher and join, you will get more salary. You will never get it. You will get equal salary as what an MTech or ME student get. Okay, so please understand that. And another aspect you need to consider is the cost involved. So like it's roughly 30 to 50 lakh actually for a master's degree in abroad. So if you don't have a scholarship, you need to spend that actually. So you can do the master's degree in America, Europe, or Asia Pacific. I'll tell you a few more things here. Okay, typically the admission in all these countries, depending on multiple things. One is typically, they will look at your they score in GRE for US, but that alone will not guarantee admission. Okay, so what additional thing they will look you is your technical skills. They will ask you to send your resume. Okay, they will see your skills. They will also see your project, and also they will see the papers published actually. So it's very important for if you wish to do a masters in abroad, please ensure that you have some papers published. You do some good project. You have got a very good technical skills. Then only you are going to get admission, and also you are going to get the scholarship. Please ensure this. Okay, so you can do master's degree in any of these countries. And again, as I told earlier, again, when you select the specialization, you need to select it based on your career planning. Also, you need to see the university's infrastructure and also the syllabus, etc. That's very important. Okay, and you can find more details about these courses, the admission procedure or scholarship, etc. in masterportal.com. This is one of the best sites you can find actually for foreign studies, or you can get more details from Find Masters. Okay, so please consider all the aspect. Say like what you want to do or after masters. That's very important thing you need to consider, because I have so like a lot of my colleagues that all, they did masters from US or Europe, and without going a proper planning and without having the sufficient skills. Like that's what I'm going to talk. What is required in your resume? It's not easy to get a job in even an abroad actually. So you need to have them. Then if you don't get job, you have to come back to India. Then you have to join in the same salary as what an MTech getter. Then you have the difference between those these two students is that so typically an MTech students will spend about a 3 lakh actually as his fees, 2 or 3 lakhs say his fees, whereas this the student who is coming from abroad, he'll be spending roughly 30 to 50 lakh. So to return of investment again take huge time. So please consider this, okay, when you are deciding. Okay, so this is very important. Now I will talk about the options in academics. In academic, you have options like you can join as assistant professor in any college, but to join to get a job as assistant professor, you need to have a master's degree, ME or MTech. It's a must. Then in a research field, you can join as a research associate or fellow in various universities and colleges. This option is very well available now. Okay, so it's a good option. For example, in CDAC you can do, or in NILT, etc. Okay, now I'll talk about the different type of companies. So it's very important for you to know the type of companies and what they does actually, because this will also help you when you attend the interview, and this will also help you to understand the main type of activity they do actually. Okay, so that will again help you to choose to career actually. Okay, so I will talk about IT service company. As you all know that IT service companies, they do the project for different customers. Okay, and they never develop any product themselves. They do part of the product development. You can say sometimes they do design, testing, and quality and other things. Okay, so there are companies like Wipro, TCS, and HL or Infosys. And one main thing students are not aware is that all these companies work on core domains, say like embedded systems, signal processing, or image processing, and everything, communication, and our IoT or machine learning, all of them. Okay, so but when they hire a student, what they do is that they will look only two aspects: whether the student is good, have overall good analytic and technical skills, good communication skills, and other things. Okay, so and once they select you, they initially will be in training or in probationship. Okay, so your projects will be assigned later, but project assignment will depending on your resume actually. because you have to submit your resume. So need to have the right skill set in your resume to get a job in embedded system or in a core electronics field. Okay, otherwise they will put you in any department where you not have a choice actually. Okay, so it's very important to understand. So product companies, they make a complete product like Eaton, Honeywell, or Tata Motors, or any companies you take. So they do the complete product design, start development, starting from the design, manufacturing, servicing, and sales and servicing. Okay, so they do the end-to-end activities. Okay, so you get opportunity to work in different aspects there. And again, it's good to work in always in a product company, because you will get better knowledge there than IT company. Okay, and the job is more stable in product companies, not like IT companies. Okay, and then you have electronics manufacturing service companies like Jabil and also what they do is that they manufacture the products. Okay, manufacture the products means product company, what they do, they manufacture the product. Okay, the systems. But typically these PCBs will be assembled in electronics manufacturing companies, because the assembly is costly, so they don't want to keep that setup, so they will outsource it to electronics manufacturing some company. They will manufacture it, PCBs, assemble it and send it, or test it and send it back here. And sometime some product companies will not manufacture it, because again manufacturing setup is also costly. So what they do is that they will ask these companies to manufacture the product. Okay, and the third type, what they do is that they sometimes design the products for other customers also. Okay, so that is also their job. Then you have semiconductor companies like IT company, Texas Instruments, Intel, etc. They design the ICs, and also they do a lot of software development and algorithm development, etc. Okay, so then you have product certification companies. You see your laptop charger or a mobile phone charger. You can see the marking like CE, UL, etc. Why it is important is that any product you want to sell anywhere need to have some certifications, without which you cannot sell, because the reason for the regulatory or certification is that you need to meet country regulation. For example, your system should not cause some more emissions, or it should not have any safety issues, or it should not interfere with other systems, or other systems should not influence your system. All of the type of testings will be done there. Okay, in these type of companies. Okay, and there are many companies like ULTV and all in Bangalore, for example. So they do hire freshers. Okay, so if somebody is interested in this field, there are opportunities there. Okay, so now you have a government organization like ISRO, DRDO, CDAC, etc., or even Bharat Electronics Limited. So these companies also, you have a lot of positions in R&D. Okay, and they typically need a gate score and other things in hiring. Okay, and it's good to work there. Then you have a different type of organization. Say again, it's government like Indian Railway or BSNL. But again, you need to understand like if you join in such companies, you will not be doing any design. You will be sort of testing, or say sort of servicing or integration type of activity. So again, you have to select it based on your planning. For example, if somebody work in BSNL, say couple of years, so only job what he can get is that he can get job in Jio or Bharat, Airtel, etc. Like that company, he will get job. He cannot get a job in a product company anymore, because you don't have any experience in design. Okay, so you need to consider that aspect. So always everything, that's what I'm telling you. You have a plan to go to R&D, please don't join in those companies like a BSNL or Indian Railways, because there is no R&D there. The R&D happens in ISRO, DRDO and such organization. So please understand this aspect. Okay, but if you're it's okay to work and go to in servicing and other things, of course yes, you can go, no problem. Okay, so this is very important for you to know. Now I will talk about I'll talk about the product development flow. This is very important for you to know how a product is developed. And okay, product development flow is a continuous activity. It's like a wheel. Okay, so in product development flow you have a different type of activities, like you start the product development. Okay, so in two ways. One is that you want to launch altogether a new product, or you want to have a facelift version of your car. For example, why cars are launching a facelifted version? Due to three reasons. One is that as they will have a lot of complaints from the field, so they want to improve their design. Okay, to reduce the complaints. Another thing is that they want to have a more features. So because see, like when you launch a car, another your competitor will launch a new car, maybe in a year time, they will have more feature. Okay, so they need to have a more features. Okay, then third thing is that always you have to reduce the cost of your product actually. because then only your margin will improve. Okay, assume that you designed a car now today, so whatever the components you are using, after 3 years you will get a better components into lesser price. For example, you are taking an IC, integrated IC, a processor. Earlier, the processors were less powerful. Now, you have very high powerful processors. So in many applications, instead of using two processors, you can do the same thing in a single processor. So effectively it is reducing the cost. Okay, so that's why it's called value engineering. Okay, so you will do in that way. Okay, so now assume that you have product in market. Okay, and you have the complaints. So what you will do is that you will study, okay, what are the problems. Okay, and then you will consider that in your new next version of the product. Okay, or if you are designing a new product, okay, what you are going to do is that first is that you will when so do a market research study. You will have to study the competitors product actually, because you should know what all features they have actually. Yeah, so that you can have that in your product. Okay, and then also you need to study about your own products. Okay, what are the problems you face, so that you can consider that in your design. So any product development start with a product initiation, where you will collect all these details. Okay, you will have all marketing details and everything. Okay, so you will get all the inputs from the field service, sales and marketing engineers. So they giving the input. Okay, what are the expectation from customers. Okay, and then you will have all of them. Then you will decide, okay, this is you will define actually the your product actually for in a concept definition. You will decide, okay, this is the feature I'm going to have, these are my inputs, these are my outputs, and this is the cost of my product, and this is the time to market. This is very important. You cannot have a product very expensive compared to your competitors. And second thing is that you cannot take too much time to launch, because you will lose the market share there. Okay, by that time customers will buy other product. Okay, so then you will have also, by the time you will have all the specification. Okay, so once you have that, okay, you will finalize your product. Okay, so this is the product I'm going to make, and this is the way I'm going to do at a high level. So in the concept definition, you will also define the architecture. Say for example, in this case you will define your processor to use and other things, because it's very important actually for you to know that. Okay, because that also affect the cost actually, because it's not the component cost, it's also the development cost involved. Okay, once you have all of them, you will go for the detailed design. Okay, detailed design means you take a music system in your car. Okay, in a car music system you have a different things. Okay, you have a DSP or audio processors, you have a speakers. Okay, then you have LCD display, you have say the mechanical switches and other things, and the mechanical enclosure. Okay, so what you do is that you will define the high level design. Okay, so you will say like I'm going to use this processor, the DSP, and my sound output is this much. Okay, and I will have this type of display, say like touchpad and so on. Okay, and when then in the mechanical part you will define the size of your system. I mean a music system actually, how much size it occupies and so on, and the power consumption details, etc. Okay, once that is done, you will go for a detailed design. Okay, now you will have to work as a a different team actually, because the circuit electronics engineers, hardware engineers you call, they do this circuit design. Okay, and software designers will develop the software for DSP. Okay, and then you have mechanical engineers, so they will design the mechanical, like the casing and other things. Okay, the covers and other things. Okay, so all of this thing will be done in a product development phase actually, and integration phase. So you will circuit designers will start with circuit design. They will draw the circuit and some tools. I will talk about it later. Then they will do the circuit simulation. Then they will do the layout design simulation. They will manufacture the PCBs, assemble the components. Okay, say then they will test the circuits about whatever they get. And at the same time, software developers will develop the software in some of the evaluation boards. Okay, and then they will interface the LCD and other things and see. Okay, and once that is done, you will integrate everything actually together, and you have to see the performance of all of that. Okay, okay, and then once that is done, you will have a different type of testing. One is a functional test. Okay, that will be done, like individual designers, they will see whether the whatever PCBs or circuit that they design, it works as per expectation. Then you will have a complete integration testing that will be done by testing team. Then you will have a more type of testing actually. So out of this, you can say like now you made a car music system. Okay, so then the service team and also manufacturing team also will do the testing actually of this whatever you design. The main reason for that is that it's very important for any product whatever you design, it should be manufacturable actually. It should be easy to manufacture, okay? Because in manufacturing what is important is that it's they should able to assemble any or manufacture any product in less time actually, so that they can produce more quantity. So okay, so they will look into these aspects. Okay, so sometime what happens is, and you will have too many screws and nuts and other things, or you will have connectors which are very difficult to remove, etc. Okay, so these things you need to change actually. So they will do the testing and they will give the feedback to you. And then you will have a service engineers, okay, who will be again doing the testing. Why it is important is that at the end service engineers are going to service the product what you designed, right? And it should be easy for them to service. So many time they should have some warnings, indication, LEDs and other things, so that they can easily remove the board. Otherwise sometime you assume them to do use oscilloscope and all to check with the problem. It is very expensive also, right? So they will do this type of testing, and then you need to also built-in self-test and other lot of mechanism required. So that is also done there, okay? So then you have a next three more type of testing, okay? So one is your reliability test. So whatever product you designed, it should be very reliable, okay? Otherwise it will affect the your company's reputation, and also it will increase the cost of a service actually, because you have to replace the part. And also you might have heard about a lot of recall and all, right? Because sometime vehicle auto recall happens. Sometimes it will be a safety issue, like airbag is not deploying and other thing. So they may have to stop the production, huh? So there are a lot of issues actually. You might have heard about Volkswagen, that fuel this thing emission scammer, right? Like that. So they will have to pay huge fine. Suppose if it is a safety issue, they will have to pay huge fine to the users or even to the government and all. So those are the things actually. It's very important. Then you have then and by doing reliability tests, you will be said like doing a temperature cycling or a humidity test. You will test your system at different temperature, and you see the performance of it. As you all know that actually, for example, any electronics component performance changes with the temperature, your op amp or even resistor or transistor and so on, right? So you need to take care of all that in the design so that you will not have any issues, okay? And next thing is that there will be also vibration test, okay? So why vibration test is important is that any product you design, okay, I mean so when it vibrate, actually it should work properly. Assume that you have a music system in a car, okay? In a music system you have a lot of cables actually connected, okay? I mean power is coming from car, and different things, cables are going to speakers and so on, okay? So what happens is that when the car is going in bad roads, okay, so car will jerk and vibrate. So sometime connectors might come out actually. So you should have a very good connectors and other things, okay? By doing a reliability test, you will find all these things, okay? Because even these are small things, but that will affect the product reliability, right? So that is done there. And then next thing is that environmental testing. You will have to use your system at various temperatures and various environmental conditions. So those tests are performed there, okay, to see the performance. And then the last is the most important one, okay? By doing all of the tests whatever I told so far, you are ensuring that okay, you can your product is ready to use, it's very reliable. Next is that you have to do a regulatory test. Why regulatory is important is that you have to sell a product to different countries. Every country you need to meet some regulation. In a regulatory test you will do electromagnetic compatibility emission, EMIMC test, you can say. So they will see the emission from your system. They will inject external noises, radiated or conducted one. And even they will inject noises to the cables in your system or to the power supply, okay? And there are multiple type of tests, okay? And they will see the performance of your system, okay? If your system meets, then these regulatory companies, okay, like UL or TV, together with your company, okay, so they will go for submitting all the evidence test reports to government authorities, okay? And then they will grant you this certification actually. Then only you will get CE marking, for example. Then only you can sell your product in European market, okay? So that's very important. So once you have that, okay, your product is ready to manufacture, and next stage is manufacturing, okay? So so once the product is manufactured in the after this stage, again in manufacturing you have a lot of activities involved. It's not so easy as you think, because any component is made up of different systems made up of different components. You take a music system, in a car audio music system, you have but this knobs, and you have a display, you have speakers from different company, you have processor from different company, etc., right? So you need to ensure whatever components you are getting, it's good actually to use. And also you need to do a lot of incoming quality checks in the factory before it is start before you start manufacturing. Then during the manufacturing you have to see how the things are getting manufactured. After manufacturing, again you will do a lot of tests. For example, music system, you will measure the sound quality. By visually you will just hear a sound and see it's okay or not. Then you will also measure different parameters in the sound. Okay, so that is done in manufacturing. Okay, once all of them know, okay, then a quality will check actually whether the system is okay overall, whether all things are done. Once that is done, you will go for a release actually. So manufacturing can happen in two ways. So one is they will go for a short pilot manufacturing, where you will manufacture 50 or 100 systems and sell it to the field to get the feedback actually, yeah? Because that is very important for you to know how the performance actually in market. Sometimes you may miss certain things in the design. Okay, you may miss how the customers are going to use the system, etc., right? So then if the feedback is good actually, then if feedback is sorry if feedback is good, then they will go for a mass production. Okay, and if you have some problem, then what you do is that you will stop the production if it is critical. Then you will fix the issue, then you will go for mass production. Okay, and another thing is that if they assume that you are going for a facelift version of a car, so it's a directly they will start do the mass production, means they will produce in thousands or whatever numbers. So then once it is goes to the field, again you will work with the service engineers and you monitor the issues. Okay, sometimes there will be customer interaction to get their feedback. Okay, and then again it keeps on moving actually, because if you have more severe issues, you have to improve, you have to redesign and improve. So and some then you have to later add the features and all. So it's very important to have a good architecture for feature enhancement. So that's very important. So this is a horizontal view in product development. So you will define the product. Okay, I told earlier. So in then you will have a next phase. You have to do a feasibility analysis. A feasibility analysis, why it is important is that you should know whether it is possible for you to really design that product, because assume that you are designing something new, so you should know whether it's really going to work actually. Okay, for example, nowadays in everywhere you have a touchpad, a mobile phone, and also right when touchpad initially started, the companies were worrying, so will it detect all the touches, etc., right? Or how long it will work, etc., right? So you need to do the feasibility study there. So a lot of MATLAB and other things are also used here for simulation and other things. Okay, simulation tools and MATLAB for concept design and all. Then you need to also see the cost actually here, how much cost is required, and time to market. That's very important. Then you will define the high level architecture, where you will decide which processor or DSP or FPGA you're going to use. Then you will start the detailed design. Okay, you can see here like PCB design, circuit design, FPGA, firmware and application software, mechanical design. Then you will do the testing as I told earlier. Now in certification is required. You will do the regulatory safety test, etc. Safety test, why it is important is that now in none of any of your electric or electronic system should be safe to use. There should not be any fire and you know short circuit, even if temperature should not be more. If short circuit happens or if water goes inside your system, immediately the fuse should blow actually. It should not cause any fire hazard. That's the main purpose, huh? So they will do a lot of testing there. Then environmental also will be done. Then you will get the marking. Okay, then you will manufacture the product. As I told, there will be a lot of testing and other thing. Then you will ship the product to customer. Then you will get the feedback from the customer or service center, how the performance of the product is actually. Okay, if you have a problem, again you will come back here. Okay, so this is about the product development flow. This is also important for you to know, because then you will have a better understanding, how the things are done, and why it is done, and so actually. Okay, so now I'll talk very quickly on high level PCB design flow. So PCB design, again, once you decided to launch some product, you will define the block diagram, what all major components are there. Then before you do the circuit design, you need to finalize the component. You need to design which microprocessor I will use, which voltage regulator, which ADC, which op amp, etc., right? So once you finalize all of that, then you will do the circuit design. I will tell you in which tool schematic you will draw. Then this tool will generate netlist, that's interconnection. Then you have to do simulation in PSpice. Okay, once that is done, okay, you are sure that your circuit is going to work, right? Then next is a PCB layout. Okay, so first you have to place the components. As you know, you take any product. For example, a mobile phone. In mobile phone, in one PCB will have a very high-end processor. You have camera module, you have RF modules, right? So what happens is that when all the modules operate actually, so sometimes a power supply also there. Okay, if your power supply is not good and too noisy, then what happens is that it will affect the performance of your camera or the speakers and other things, right? So you need to have a sufficient spacing, good layout methodologies, good shielding, etc., right? So once you the place component place, actually you will do again simulation. There are tools, I will talk about that later. Then you will do the routing again, you do the simulation to ensure there will not be any emission and other thing. Then you go for a prototyping and testing and so on. Okay, then FPGA design and IC design flow, you have two things. So you can say like FPGA design flow also follow part of it actually. Have the front end FPGA design flow, front end is same. Then you have IC and IC design flow same. In front end, you will define the architecture. You will decide what all components you love. You take a microprocessor. You in a microprocessor, you have a processor core, different type of memories, regulator, voltage regulators, and you are having a that you are having ADCs or PWMs and other things. So you will design, okay, and in RTL design you will do. Then you will do verification there, because IC design is very expensive. So you have to understand that all the things are checked thoroughly in a front end. In a PG design also it forms the same thing. Once you're done, then you will go for a physical design. Here you will design the which technology you are going to use, the size of the chip, how you are going to place, because as I told earlier, in a microprocessor you have different components. Okay, assume that your voltage regulator is noisy, that will impact your ADC performance. Okay, or your processor is creating some emissions, or it is affecting the neighboring parts actually, that will affect overall performance. So you have to do a lot of design checks there, integrity testing. Okay, so once all of that is done, then you will go for fabrication. So here I would like to mention one thing. Actually, in India there are over 1,000 companies who are working in IC design, from all the IT companies including Infosys, TCS. So fabrication is not happening in India, but that does not mean that you don't have job. You have a the tens of thousands of job. So a lot of opportunities in this field is there actually. Okay, so it's a very good field, and highest paid actually. So I'll be talking really on tools and skill set required at that time. We'll discuss more. Okay, and now these are different positions in industry. In product development, any type of company you go, IT company do part of it actually, product company will do full of it, and so then you have the regulatory company will do the certification company will do this thing. Okay, so you have a different role here: R&D, design engineers, application testing, and so on, quality and other things. Okay, then here you have a manufacturing and other thing. Okay, now I will tell a few things here. Okay, assume that you get a job in an IT company. Now what is going to happen is that you will join that company. Okay, so once you join that company, initially you'll be in a probation or even some trainings. Okay, so what happens is that next is your project allocation. That's the most important thing, and that decides your career. Okay, so typically in not only in IT company, even in product company, they will see your skills actually. So assume that you're not good. Okay, so they have a requirement in a project, for example embedded software or a signal processing engineer. Assume that you don't have that. Okay, so what happens is that next is that they will see where they can put you actually. So if they have some position in a, say like a financial type of software or other thing, they may put you there. Okay, and the moment they put you there, you can't come back then to core field actually. Please understand that. And then second thing what can happen is that, okay, assume that you are not good in software at all. I mean, and your skill sets are not good actually. Okay, so what they will do is that they may ask you to be a test engineer or maybe a quality or regulatory engineer. Okay, so it's very important for you. So getting job is first step, but getting the project is your real career. So please understand that. That's why I've told the final year students also to join this call. As you, even if you have a job offer in hand, don't think that that's a end actually. It's just the beginning. So for you now to learn more, in the coming periods actually, or during a probation and or training time, to have extra courses and other things which you can do online also, and to gain more knowledge, then only you are going to get a good project actually, and that define your career. Okay, please understand this. Okay, I will talk more on that. Now I will talk on the different job types. This is very important for you to know different type of jobs in various industries. Okay, so the again the type of job or which you are going to choose, it depending on your career planning. Generally if you see, many engineers, or students who will be doing engineering, they may not be interested, to do much, work in R&D. Okay, so some will be interested, in quality, regulatory, or they don't want to do core technical work. Okay, so then they have a different roles. So please don't think that, you don't have other options and all, actually, because if you compare IT or computer science, they have a very less opportunity. So their opportunity, goes, say, like, you have only three type of job for a software engineer, and for electronics engineering you have almost all nine type of jobs, actually. So what I mean to say here is that, you have to understand that, you have much more job opportunities. Okay, so you have a more choices also, actually. Again, as per your plan, you decide where you want to work. Okay, so I will talk about each jobs. In a research type of job, okay, I mean, typically, you will define or design a new concepts, new architecture, etc. Okay, you may do new algorithms and so on. Okay, so typically research type of job, involve a lot of, analysis and feasibility study, etc. So you will be doing a lot of, coding and other things, in MATLAB. So it's MATLAB is mandatory. I will, when I talk about skill set, I will talk on that more. Okay, and then, you have a design and development. So the difference between the research and design and development is that you assume that, you are having this noise cancellation algorithm in your car audio. Okay, so in what a researcher or a scientist, research engineer or scientist, what they do, they will develop some algorithm, okay, to remove the noise. Okay, and they will do a lot of simulation and testing. Okay, by, adding different type of noises. Okay, and next, what a design and development engineer, or in many companies called R&D engineers, what they do, they you take a DSP processor and implement that in a, maybe C or C++, for example. So that's a difference. So research engineer will define the algorithm, they will prove it's working, and then they will have some patents. Okay, they will apply for some patent, they will get it. Okay, and the designer and developer will actually design the product, actually using that algorithm. Okay, but in many companies, this is a combined role, actually. If you are going to companies like Intel, TA, or Unlock Devices, or ARM, or even Qualcomm, Cisco, all of that companies have a separate like a research engineers. Okay, and if you want to go in both of these domain, you need to have very good knowledge. One is very excellent knowledge on the fundamentals, and a lot of knowledge on the technologies. So I'll be talking on that later. And again, having ME or MTech is very beneficial. So what I mean to say is that if you want to work in R&D, it's good to do ME MTech. Okay, so this is very important for you to know. Okay, and this a third type of job is a testing job. So testing, what their main job is to test whatever a module you designed or the product designed. Okay, so the testing engineers also need to have a good knowledge on the, say, hardware or software, because need to develop you need to know the product. Then only you can develop the test methodology. Some you have to develop the test code. If it is a FPGA design, they may be doing making the test bench, etc. Okay, in HDLs, or if they're an embedded system, they will be doing, C or C++, or even Perl, or whatever, depends, actually. Then LabVIEW, because in automation testing and all that setup and all, LabVIEW is used, so they need to know that. Okay, so somebody is interested, you can go in that. Then you have application engineering, so their job is to give a training on the products. For example, in your college you have evaluation boards or oscilloscopes, or say spectrum analysis, etc. Right? So some engineers from those company will be coming and giving training to you on how to use the evaluation, but how to download the code, in the software development tools, or how to probe the signals using a spectrum analyzer, for example, how to set the parameters, etc. Right? So that's their job. So if somebody is interested in that, of course you can join there. Okay, then you have a quality and regulatory jobs. Okay, so this is there in IT companies very much. Okay, so that's what I'm repeatedly telling you. If you're going in IT company, be very careful also, because you need to ensure, if you want to work in R&D, please ensure you have the right skills. Otherwise, straight away they'll put in quality. Okay, because I've seen lot of that, actually. So in quality you have a different type of job. So one is a design quality engineer. So any product you design, you should follow certain design quality guidelines, actually defined by certain countries and other thing. Okay, so you need to have proper documentation procedures and other things. So they will work with R&D engineers and test engineers to ensure that proper document is for when you design anything, you need to have a design calculations. Then when you do test something, you need to have some test records and other thing. For certain countries, you need need to follow certain additional quality requirements, etc. So they will work with the R&D engineers on this. Okay, then they are there in all IT companies. And then you have a product quality engineer. They are there in product company and electronics manufacturing company. Their job is to ensure the quality in the product. Okay, so what they will do is that you have a car music system, so you have different parts, right? So they will do the incoming inspection checks. They will see whether whatever parts you're getting is good. They will see the test reports during the assembly. They will see how the products are assembled properly or not. Okay, and once the product is assembled properly, uh, you know they will it will go for testing, right? And so they will see the test report, and then they will do final check, a visual inspection and other things. Okay, so to ensure the quality is fine, actually. That's their job. Then you have a third type of quality engineer called supply quality engineer. So they are in the same product company and the manufacturing. Their job is to ensure, like any product, as I told earlier, you are getting the speaker from different company, your processor from different company, your cables from different company, and so on, right? So they will work with these companies to have a good product, components delivered from them. Actually, sometimes what happens, you will have a lot of problem in your components, actually. Okay, so that will affect the final quality of the product. So they will work with them to get the issue resolved. Okay, so there are a lot of job in this. As I told you, like there are so many electronics manufacturing companies in India now, and many more are coming, actually. So many people have opportunities, so please understand that there are so many opportunities for you. Only if you should be interested in doing that. That's very important. It's not that there are not opportunity for you. And then as I told, regulatory, their job is to ensure the product meet regulatory requirements. So you have different type of engineers there. One is the regulatory engineers, so they will work with R&D. Okay, so suppose you want to design a product for Asian market. Okay, the requirement is different, because there the emission can be slightly higher. Okay, so you need to follow certain guidelines. Okay, so they will work with R&D engineer to ensure that. And suppose you want to sell same product for American market or European market, then you need to have better control over emissions. It means you need to have less emissions, so you need to have a good shielding, maybe better PCB design, or even more, you may have to add additional filters, etc., right? So so that will add again the cost of the product. So they will work with R&D engineers, make them aware of each country regulations, what is the expectations. Accordingly, the R&D engineers will design the product. Okay, so that's their activity. Okay, and then you have a test engineer, regulated engineer. They will perform the actual measurement and testing. If you see, IT companies are also having these roles. For example, Wipro and HCL has anechoic chambers where they do the testing. Also, similar chambers are there in ARI in Pune, or even Samir in Mumbai, etc. Right? They do all these things. Then in manufacturing, you manufacture the product. You have a different roles there. You have a quality engineers, which I already told you. Apart from called that, you have a manufacturing engineer, production engineer, and product test engineer. So the job of a manufacturing engineer is to ensure the factory is ready to manufacture the product. So he will, suppose you need your robots for assembly. Okay, so he will ensure the robotic setup and other things. Okay, and he will get the additional tools for that is required for product testing, etc. That is his job. Okay, and then you have a production engineer. So his job is to ensure the product is manufactured actually as per the requirement. So he will work with the typically the diplomas, or the ITA people are assembling the products, etc. They will ensure the products are manufactured and thoroughly tested. Then the test engineer will test the product. Okay, now you have a role for supply chain and procurement. Their job is to buy the components, actually, to make a product. Okay, so that's their main job. Okay, so what they do is that they work with R&D, understand the requirement. They work with suppliers and negotiate them on the pricing and getting a part continuously. Okay, so that's their job. If you want to work in this domain, a lot of people are going in this domain also. There are a lot of opportunity in this. You need to do MBA. That's highly preferred. Then you have a service engineer. They will service the product. Then you have a sales and marketing engineer. So they will sell and market your product. So if you want to go in this domain, MBA is good. Okay, now I'll tell about the expectation from industry. This is very important for you to know, because these are evaluated in your interview. Okay, so before I start, I would like to briefly tell you about resume. Okay, so in my lecture, I'll be talking on really what company is looking actually when they get your resume. And please understand few things very clearly. Whenever you apply for a job in campus or off campus, or you're placed already, the companies will ask you for your resume. Okay, so your resume should have the skill set what company is really looking. Okay, in that domain. Okay, so many time what happens is that if you don't have that, you will not get the projects or you will not get interview call. So resume is the first and most important thing in anybody's career, because companies will decide everything based on that. If you have a good resume, you will get shortlisted, because nowadays in big companies they are getting thousands of applications, okay, online and all. Whenever you submit, it is screened automated actually, because they will look for the keywords. If you don't have the keywords in your resume, you will be rejected there. Okay, so it's very important. Okay, now I'll come to the other aspects. Okay, other things are, anytime in your interview, campus or off campus, you have a two type of interviews. You will have a technical round and you have a HR round. Okay, so in technical round they will look into your, they will first study your resume. Okay, because you are shortlisted. They will ask a lot of questions about your projects. Okay, then they will ask a lot of questions about the skill set what you have written in your resume. Okay, that's first round, and ideally around 2 to 3 round of technical interviews will be there. And next round they will go to the basic actually. Assume you are going for a hardware engineer role, circuit design engineer role. They will ask, or even VLSI design, they will ask a lot on the components. They will ask different type of resistors, what are the properties, and they may ask you to draw the block diagram of op amp, or different circuits with op amp, maybe processor, block diagram, and so on actually. And you will they will ask a lot on EMC, this electromagnetics, or different subjects. What you've done, they may ask you to draw some circuits and calculate the current or voltage, whatever. A lot of real technical interview. Then they will also ask a bit about the tools you use for schematic this thing. Okay, so these are the things they will consider in your interview. Okay, so then another thing is that when you okay, so another thing what they look is that how good you're in learning new things actually, because that they can analyze by interviewing you, and also by looking at the skill set in your resume. Okay, that's very important. Then you typically need to have a good academic score, because different company has got a different requirement of, say 40% or sorry 70 percent or 60% like that actually. So it depends. Okay, then the next round is behavioral. So please understand one thing actually. This both the technical and behavioral parts are equally important in your whenever you are attending in an interview, or if you are working in any company. Okay, both are important, because your performance will be evaluated throughout the year. So you will have a I mean sorry so you will have a okay so you will have a evaluation throughout the year at 2 times. So they will look at both your technical and behavioral aspects. Okay, now I'll come back to behavioral. Okay, so behavioral, what they do is that first and foremost what they look into is that how good you are in communicating, how you good in presenting your ideas. Okay, that's the reason you have a GD, right, typically. And you have detailed HR interview. Many time what happens is that even for experienced or freshers, they will not have good communication skills. Okay, so typically they will be rejected. So you don't think that you have got a so good technical knowledge. Okay, but if you're not having good communication skills or presentation in English, you will be rejected actually. So please focus on that also, if you're not good in that. Okay, and then you need to be a team player, because in a company you will work with a team actually, because you won't do work independently. Okay, so it's very important. Then you need to take ownership in whatever activity you do. I mean, you need to complete the task and all on time. Then you need to be flexible. That's very important. Flexible in two ways. So assume that you join as a embedded software engineer. Okay, so I mean you're interested to do project in signal processing, so you'll be doing that. Okay, so sometime what happens is that the project gets over, so your next project may be something on testing part. Okay, so sometime what happens is that engineers are not interested, they want only not design like that. Okay, but you can never be that way, because what happens is that every company the work keeps on changing, whether it is IT or product. Okay, so you need to be flexible to do different type of work, because sometimes you may have to learn new things to do that. So you should be flexible in doing that. It's very important. And second thing is that you work in any company, so many times you have to work with people from different countries or different time zones. Okay, so you need to adapt those time zones. Second thing is that depending on project requirement, you may have to work overtime, maybe work on Saturday, Sunday, or maybe have to stay overnight very late. And also these things you need to be flexible. It's very important. Okay, now I will start really the required skill set that you should have it in your resume to go in core electronics field. So you need to have this skill set, then only you're going to get the interview calls. Or if you are already placed, if you have this skill set, you will get at least selected in those core projects actually. Okay, before I start, I would like to tell a bit about embedded system. If anybody want to go in embedded system, please understand few things. One is that embedded system is a combination of hardware and software. Okay, and embedded system is about the about the circuits designed with a processor, say microprocessor or controller, FPGA or DSP. So if you want to go in this embedded domain, either as a software engineer or hardware engineer, you should know one architecture of one processor, one DSP and one FPGA. It is a must actually. It should be there in your resume. Okay, otherwise the chance of getting you a job in core field is very less. Please understand this, sir. Don't think DSP and FPGA is something different. It is again an embedded system. Okay, and the second thing I'm telling you is that many time the students who wish to go in embedded software always think that I need not do anything about this hardware actually, because I can do the programming. See, that's not true, because why it is important, I'll tell you. So you are working in an IoT domain, or you are working in an automotive, if you have a lot of sensors, okay, and you are getting the data from sensors, okay, and the sensor output, and then you'll have a signal conditioning like op amps and the ADCs and other things come in between, right, to get you the data to your processor or whatever. Okay, so in between what happens is that due to environmental conditions or and the behavior of op amps and all, there will be like there are non-linear behaviors in this, right? So you need to correct everything in software, so you need to know the hardware, so it's a must actually, because in interview they will ask a lot of questions. If you can't clear, you won't get there actually. Okay, so this is the second thing, and the third thing I'm telling is in general is that signal processing, again, it's a part of embedded system. IoT is just an application of embedded system. Machine learning is again part of embedded system, because in every embedded system you're using one or another type of machine learning algorithms or artificial algorithm. Okay, so if you want to go in all of this domain, you should have these skill set what I'm talking now, because if you have this in your resume, you will get interview calls, or even if you are already placed, still you will get a good project actually. So this is my point here. First is again I'm repeating, please do some projects, mini projects or some small programs on one DSP and one FPGA. Please ensure this is there in your resume. Okay, and second thing is about the language. That's the main thing. So many times what students will think that, okay, I know C++, Python, Java, it will help. It will not help you. Okay, please understand that. Nobody is so interested in your knowing languages. Even a BSc computer science student can know more languages, software languages than you, right? Okay, so what they look is that whether you know one or two languages. One language is C or C++. You can learn one, and MATLAB is must actually. Yeah? If you want to be in embedded software without knowing MATLAB, you're not going to get, or you're not going to survive in the industry. Please understand, MATLAB is used everywhere now. Okay, I will talk about it later. So, and you should know VHD or Verilog. It's also a must actually. Then you need to know about RTOS. One of the DSP, any DSP is okay. One processor, ARM is very good. One FPGA. Then you need to know about all the communication protocol. As I told earlier, any embedded system you are using different type of protocols. In your IoT, you may use sensor interface, you may use I2C or SPI. For other interface, maybe you may use different type. In automotive tech, you may use CAN and other things. Okay, or in PC based or industrial applications or medical, you will use Ethernet and USB, etc. So you need to know how the protocols work, and how to communicate the data in that and so on. Okay, then you need to know about this kernels and other things. So why I'm showing this for these things are is that these are the things that you should have in your resume. Okay, then only you're going to get interview calls. Okay, or if you are having a job, in Wipro for example, they will see your resume and, oh, okay, good, this person work on this, so then you will be like selected for that project actually. So it's very important. Now I will talk about the positions. You can have become a software engineer for working on microprocessor, DSP or FPGA, or a drivers or algorithm testing and verification. These are some of the positions, just for example. Again, a signal processing and image processing, and don't shy away from this field. They are paying paid much more than an embedded software engineer, almost double you can say. So it's a good field. All type of industries are working on this. Again, IoT is again a application of signal processing. Yeah? So in IoT, in all the communication protocols, it's a foundation is your signal processing. So again, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of companies working, in automotive or industrial or medical domain uses it. The basic knowledge what you should have here is that you should have very good knowledge on DSPs and image processing. It's a must. Then again, architecture of DSP processor and FPGA. Why it is important again is that in some applications, FPGA is used for DSP, algorithm implementation, and somewhere high-end ARM processors are used. So you should know all of them. Then you should have a good knowledge on one of the programming language and MATLAB. Then one HDL is a must. Then communication protocols. Again, you will be communicating in different peripherals or systems. Okay, so it's very important actually for you. Okay, so you have so many jobs there in DSP or image processing. All IT companies work. For example, TCS have signal processing lab in Mumbai, for example. Then you have algorithm engineers testing image quality. Even L&D, all companies you name any IT company, all of them works. Then machine learning, I would again like to re-emphasize here. It is not only for software engineers; it's also for electronics engineer, because machine learning algorithms or artificial algorithms are used in every application nowadays, even from your normal washing machine to everywhere. For example, in your mobile, whenever you take a photo, so there are a lot of machine learning algorithm involved there. So if you want to go in that domain, you need to know one programming language. C++ or MATLAB is good enough. In a PC based application, if you are doing Python or Java, etc., is used there actually. Okay, but if you are working in an embedded system, then you need to again you need to have a good knowledge on DSP or processor and FPGA, because the machine learning algorithms are implemented there in any system. So it's a must there. Then good knowledge on DSP fundamentals, distributed computing and probability is very required. Then the skill set for hardware engineers are below actually. So like, you need to have a good skill set in schematic tools, ORCAD or mental graphics, because that is used in industry. Then you need to know how the PCB is designed, the layout guidelines and other things. Circuit simulation must. One HDL and C is must actually, because you have to develop the test code once the PCB is ready, right? Then again, good knowledge on the architecture of one DSP, processor, FPGA and memory, it's must. Communication protocols must. Then you should have very good knowledge on the components, starting from your resistor, capacitor, inductor to op amp, voltage regulators, PLS, and electromagnetic, all of them, because you can expect a lot of questions actually on from that actually. Okay, even your rectifiers and whatnot. And if you see opportunities, hardware engineers has got most opportunities. Okay, you can be analog design, digital mixed signal, RF design, power electronics, can be FPGA design, PCB design, signal integrity engineer, simulation. You can be a wire harness or electromagnetic compatibility. Wire harness is like you take any vehicle or in a big system, you will have a wires, cables, right? So these are the engineers who are going to select the cables, because cable is very important thing. Because when you carry any signal, cable resistance matter a lot actually. And also cable shielding, because if your shielding is not good, it will get impacted by external signals. So it's a very important role there actually. So a lot of automotive companies are hiring a lot of people there in that role. Then you have a reliability engineer, regulatory test engineers. Okay, plenty of opportunities across India. Okay, and VLSI design engineer is a wide field actually, because here you have to really decide where you want to go, because it's so complex and wide field. It can be, you can be an FPGA designer, ASIC designers, you can be a front end, back end, layout, verification and other thing, design for test engineers. Many roles are there. So but all the skill set what you need is the same actually for whichever role you go. You need to have excellent knowledge on digital designs, analog design, the semiconductor physics, inventory, HDLs, and the scripting language mainly for testing purpose. Then domain knowledge is also very important, because if you are developing an audio system in a car actually, so you need to have a good knowledge on DSP fundamentals actually. Okay, because you will be designing some ASIC for it, right? So for that reason, okay. So there are so many options like design, layout, verification, then tool developing engineers, physical design, reliability, etc. Now I'll talk about the tools and components used in it. This is very important for you in your final year project, because as I told earlier, your resume screening is the first step in your career, and your engineering or MTech project is the most important thing in anybody's career, because that's what any company will first look. Okay, so the company should be happy with your project. They should feel that okay, your project is very useful for the company. The reason I'm telling you, you do any domain, say assume that you are doing some in automotive or industry type of or IoT applications. My point here is that use the right platform that is required by industry. A platform means the components. Okay, use the right components. You can do same thing in maybe in a PIC microcontroller, 8051 microcontroller. Yeah, but nowadays industry very rarely use these type of things. So if you implement the same thing in an ARM processor or a DSP, that is highly beneficial for you, because companies will give more preference to those students who has work on that. Okay, so it's important for you to know. And also second thing is that whenever you're doing some training, you need to know whether am I doing the right training, or am I learning the right thing what is required by industry. Sometimes what happens is that still there are training institute, they will give it like they are giving training on 8051 and PIC actually, so which is not used much by industry. So if you attend such trainings and train a company, they will not find anything attractive in your resume. Okay, because they don't find something really worth actually. So it's important for you to know it. Okay, ARM processor is used by industry mostly, like almost 60% of the industry use ARM processors. So you can see when ARM processor for machine learning. That's why again I'm repeatedly telling you, if you're working in machine learning also, you are going to work at least in a processor or DSP or FPGA. So please ensure that you know the architecture of it. Okay, it's important. You can serve a cloud application also. They have process security application they have and so on. Okay, so you have a process from NXP, and other things. Even they have ARM processors. Then you have a low power MSP 430, processor from TI. Then you have a PIC series, but these are not used that much actually in industry. Okay, so any processor you can work, but ensure that it's based on ARM actually, because you will get a high benefit there. Okay, and DSP, again as I told, it's a must in your resume. You have a DSPs from TA or unlocked devices. TA, you have a DSP plus ARM processors, that's 6000 series. Okay, you can see a multi-core. It's used in all type of high-end applications, including communication, machine vision, or image processing and so on. Then you have a pure DSP process. This also use similar applications. Then you have a low-end DSP 55 series. It's used for mainly audio, speech recognition, and a lot of control applications. You have unlocked devices, though they do have a lot of process like 21x or Blackfin or Shark and other things. Out of this, Blackfin is widely used, in automotive industry. Suppose for example, you have a job in say KPIT or Bosch or any other automotive company. It's very beneficial because in most of the car audio systems or navigation and ADAS and other applications, Blackfin is used, like in software defined radio and other things. Blackfin is used, so it's a good to do project there. Any one of the DSPs, okay, it's not necessary to have Blackfin. Okay, then I'll talk about FPGA. In FPGA, you have two main suppliers. One is Xilinx and Intel. Xilinx has a different type of FPGA 7 series and Kintex and Spartan series. Then you have a SoC, system on chip. It's a combination of FPGA plus ARM processors. So you can work on that. Mostly your college will have one of these evaluation boards. Then this is just an example of accelerator platform by Xilinx. It's very high performance one used in supercomputers and 5G base stations, etc. You can see here separate architecture is there for a artificial or a DSP applications. It can communicate over 100 Gbps. You have a FPGAs or system on chip, say FPGA plus processors from Intel also. So you can work any of them. Now this is just a block diagram of IoT. So I would like you to look into this. What you need to consider and may understand here is that you take a node, for example, you have everything starting from a sensor to power management and to wireless protocols, means hardware and software. Hardware means the module, and then your DSP algorithms and communication protocols. Okay, what I mean to say is that IoT is an application of embedded system. It's not a domain altogether. Okay, it's used in every industry. So if you want to work in IoT, what all skills you need to have is that you need to have a good knowledge on electronics. Okay, you need to know how I'm going to correct the errors that can happen due to the non-intuitive behavior of op-amp ADCs and due to different environmental conditions. Okay, that's very important. And second, you need to do a lot of filtering. Second thing is that how to I optimize the power consumption, because you need to reduce the processor power communication, so the power consumption by going in different modes. So you should know about the processor architecture. The next thing is that you need to send the data you know through Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi or different communication protocols, okay, wireless protocols. So again, there you need to know about signal compression. So signal compression is again, coming as part of your, signal processing, right? So all the communication things, there are like in communication, you have a lot of error. I mean, data encryption, and also, sometimes you have to do some, identify the errors and other things actually. So a lot of things are there. So all of them, again, it's coming a part of signal processing. So if you want to go in this domain, you need to have knowledge on hardware, you need to have knowledge on signal processing, you need to have knowledge on communication, you need to have knowledge on the programming, and you need to know the architecture of process, or even another router, or cloud you go process or a FPGA or DSP. So without that, only knowing language is not going to help you. Please understand this. Language anybody can learn. Okay, but you need to know the other things, then only your language is going to be useful. Okay, so this is just a block, and I mean different protocols used, like you can have Zigbee, Wi-Fi, and other things. Okay, so I mean this is an example from my HP. So they have a server actually based on TA DSP. I mean machine learning, again, you can implement it in a ARM processor. And this is an example, where they do object detection or classification, etc. So my point here is that in a system, it is a implement a processor or a DSP or FPGA. Again, you can see FPGA architecture is also adapted for machine learning application. That's what I'm telling you. No, knowing Python or R is not alone not to going to help you. You need to know the architecture of processor, DSP, and FPGA must if you want to work in machine learning. I'm repeatedly telling you. Now I'll talk about what is required for a hardware engineer. I'll start with the schematic capture, simulation, and layout tools. So Cadence is one of the main companies. So you have two companies, Cadence and Mentor Graphics. You will get evaluation version of these tools from net. You can download it and practice it. Okay, you can draw some circuit and then you can simulate it, and you can do some layout also. You have to simulate it because you need to see the signal integrity, how the signals are performing. Then also, yeah, the how much emission can happen. How the signals will disturb to other signals and so on actually. So mental graphics, you have different tools. Hyperlinks is for simulation. Okay, so you have then thermal simulation is there. This is also very important, right? If temperature of your system increases, what happens is that your component will be hotter. Okay, so then it will affect the performance of it. Actually, it will consume more power. Okay, and op amp overall ADC behavior will change. Okay, it will give a wrong results, and also it will affect the reliability of the product. Okay, so you have to maintain the temperature. So you should have a cooling, say earlier in laptop, when computers and all, you might have seen the fan and heat sink, right? So you need to have a different mechanism actually. And again, in a software also, you need to like a lot of care. So that's why when the system is not used, why your mobile phone is going in silent mode. It's for one is for reducing the power consumption, another is for reducing the usage of your processor, so that it will be there for long time actually. Otherwise, if the processor keep on working, it will be very hot actually. So it will, over a period of time, it will affect the reliability of it actually. That's why. So simulation can be done here by entering the signal details. Okay, now I'll talk about the FPGA design tools. You have tools from Xilinx or Intel, so you can get these tools from net. Okay, ISE and Vivado, etc. Then model sim also you can get it. So that's for simulation. Then IC design, you have front and back end tools from Cadence and Synopsys. Okay, so these tools are used widely. So if you are going to do this your job in VLSI, please, whenever you do any course, please ensure that your institute has it. Now we'll talk about MATLAB. So this is the biggest misunderstanding many students are having actually. MATLAB is not only for signal processing. Please understand that is gone actually already. So MATLAB is used everywhere now. It's for AI, it's for wireless communication, it's for power electronics control, robotics, ADAS, or in image processing or IoT. Everywhere it is used. Even it is used in your FPGA development or embedded also. So it's a must in your resume if you want to become a signal processing engineer, or IoT engineer, or AI artificial intelligence engineer, or a normal embedded software engineer. It's a must in your resume. Okay, then Simulink is also widely used for model based design. Then if you say you are industries of going in testing domain or automation, it's good to learn LabVIEW. LabVIEW is also Fury's FPGA design. Now I'll talk about how to enhance career prospects. So the most important thing is that now try to do projects as much as possible. One is your final project. You can do many projects, and you'll be studying, say for example, we were FPGAs or VHDL, or say for example, this one, signal processing, right? So in signal processing, you'll be doing your practicals in MATLAB. So my recommendation to you is that try to implement the same whatever you do in MATLAB to one of the DSP validation board in your college. Okay, you can learn. If it is a TA, it can be using Code Composer Studio. Try to download it. That way you learn. Okay, please ensure this. And also you work on you can implement the same algorithm in an FPGA. Okay, so that way you will get exposure in all of the things. Okay, then doing masters will help you if you are going in R&D. Then you can do short-term courses. I will tell about that later. Doing project in industry will help you. Internship will also help you. I'll tell you how. Then paper publication is very important. Networking with seniors in industry is very important. You need to know what is the experience from industry. You will get to know from them only. Okay, so internship, why it is important is that you are studying so many things in your engineering, right? So sometimes you will not understand whether how it is going to be used in industry, and what things are doing with this. Okay, and what tools are used in industry. By doing internship, you will get to know these things. You will have a better understanding. Okay, and the second thing what you will gain is that sometimes you will not have very good understanding what you want to do after engineering. By doing internship, you will interact with the different people. You will do the work. You will get a more understanding that will help you to decide your career. Okay, and the third thing what you get is that you are working with the different people, so your communication will improve, your confidence will improve. Once confidence improves means you will able to present your idea convincingly. So that means you can easily crack your GD or HR interview, for example. Then You can do that after your third semester. That's good actually. So you can do, in your summer breaks actually. Then you can do in different type of industries and all. Okay, and you can do it in startups or government organization or small companies actually. So you can do in BSNL or in a factory. You'll get to know about that. Now I'll talk about the specialized courses quickly. Okay, so you can do different courses, say from embedded to IoT to VLSI to DSP to AI to electronics hardware design. So these are the embedded system, the content actually, like typically C processor or other thing. Okay, so CDAC is offering course, for example, it is even there in Nagpur also, or even NLT is also offering some course in Aurangabad. CDAC is generally good, they have got a good placement. Okay, so it's good to go there. And then you have IoT. There are different institutes. So CDAC is offering in Pune, for example. So they'll teach about IoTs, wireless technology, processor and other things actually. Okay, so it's good to do that. And FPGA design, IC design is a very vast field. As I told earlier, there are many institutes, so you need to decide where you want to go. You want to be an FPGA designer or an IC designer, or whether you want to be layout. So you decide your field, then you can select the courses. Again, CDAC is there in Nagpur also, for example, and then you have NLT, some short-term courses and all in Aurangabad. Then there are many in different cities in Bangalore or Hyderabad or wherever. Okay, so in DSP and image processing, they will teach about DSP and image processing fundamentals process also. But here mainly training centers are there only in Bangalore. So if you want to do, it's good to go to Bangalore and learn. Okay, then machine learning, again CDAC is offering in Pune. So they'll teach about AI, neural networks and other things. Okay, so now I'll quickly talk about what is required if you want to be a hardware engineer. Okay, so if you want to become a hardware engineer, you can do this course. So this is they will teach about hardware design techniques, FPGA based design, and packaging and other things. Okay, so I think some part of it, electronics and design, EDT students will be studying actually, in industrial design or instrument design, etc. Okay, so if your ENC student can maybe do some courses. So NILT and CDAC is offering this course, but not in Maharashtra, outside. Okay, so they can do. And if you are interested in going hardware, it's good to do some short courses. Short courses means few days courses on electromagnetic compatibility, so you'll get a better understanding, how this is important and so on, actually how to take care. So that will help you to go in this field. Okay, so the CET and the Samir is offering these courses. Now I will quickly tell about online courses. Okay, I will tell you the main difference between online courses and center courses. If you are doing a course in CDAC, okay, so they will teach you, then you will be doing the practicals on a hardware platform. Okay, so you'll be having evaluation board, so you'll be working on that. Okay, but whereas when you do online short-term courses, same in embedded system, at your home, you will not have a hardware actually. So what happens is that in many time, if you're doing a course in FPGAs or DSPs, you will do the experiments, typically, for you may use some tool, and just do some simulation and other things. Or a DSP, you may do it in MATLAB. AI also you may do in Python or MATLAB, etc., right? But you will not have a hands-on real experience. Okay, so what you need to really do is that you need to whatever you can do many of these courses, try to do many courses. Okay, and whenever you go back to college, you implement these things in your processor or DSP or FPGA evaluation boards. That way you will learn. Okay, and another point I would like to tell you here is that many students are just thinking getting the certification will help you that much. It will not help you that much actually. You see, everybody students is doing nowadays these courses. What will help you only when you implement this in a real platform. Okay, so please ensure that then only it is completed, because you have a 10 certificates. Company will ask you, have you implemented an FPGA? Have you implemented here? Or if they will ask you how you are going to implement actually. So until unless you implement, you will not able to answer those questions. So please ensure you learn everything. For example, you want to go in embedded system, I'll recommend you to do the course embedded system anyway you are studying. You can do some courses in image processing. You can do something in machine learning or IoT or artificial intelligence, because again it's a part of embedded system. Then you learn it. Okay, then you go to college. When you go to college, you implement it in these evaluation boards. So that way you will learn actually. You can develop the same algorithm in HDL actually. Okay, Now I will talk about some of the evaluation boards which you can use for self-learning, or you can do project actually. So you can get Raspberry Pi board, it's a high-end ARM processor. You can get DSP board from TA 55 series or 67, or Blackfin processor from Unlocked Devices, or FPGA boards Sing series from Xilinx, or Spartan from Xilinx, or anything in Intel also. That is also okay. Okay, and now I'll talk about the subjects. Okay, you can see like you need to focus on electronic subject also if you want to go in software, because even for a software engineers they will ask a lot about sensors or signal conditioning circuits, processor architecture. You may have to draw internal diagrams and so on actually, so please focus on that. Okay, so what I mean to say here is that whatever you study from your first year, you need to brush up. You see, you will get an interview call by having all the skill set what I listed in your resume. But okay, so how interview happens is that they will ask you first, ask a lot of questions about your resume. Okay, whatever you have done, then the next level will go in the next round. They will ask about the basic actually, and once you clear, then only you are going to get job. So please focus on basics actually. You should have advanced skills also, and the basic skills are also mandatory. That's a foundation. Okay, so hardware or VLSI, you need to know about all these subjects, including electromagnetics or radiation or microwave, and the communication and other thing. That's a must actually. And as I told earlier, a resume and covering letter is a very important thing. So please ensure that that's sort of a marketing thing that's going to present to the company about you. Okay, so because until unless the resume is shortlisted, you are not going to get an interview. Okay, call. Okay, so you need to have a good resume where there should not be any grammatical or spelling mistake. It's a must actually. Then highlight everything about your project, skill set, internship details, etc. Then you need to have also a LinkedIn profile, because nowadays most of the hiring happens in LinkedIn. So make your profile in such a way that it will showcase all your skills, etc. Then follow the companies and connect with HR managers, because then only you will get to know about off-campus interviews, because they will not advertise in their website. So just HR manager will just post actually there, so that you can appear there. Then you can register in job site. Then continuous learning is important. Never stop learning. Keep on learning actually, whether you get job or no, or you're still trying for job. This is the structure of an organization. In a product company, you have a business leader who will take care of the company to organization. Then you will have a like R&D head, quality head, factory head, and procurement, etc. Okay. Then this is a typical structure of an R&D organization. So there, you will have R&D head, who will manage complete R&D. Then under him, you will have a say a project manager. His job is to manage the project. Okay, and then you will have an engineering manager. He will manage the engineering team for product development. Okay, or R&D. Then you have a quality or regulatory manager. They will manage the quality and regulatory. So these are typical positions in an R&D organization. When a fresher is hired, they can be put in any of these green roles. If you are not good in technical, they will put you in different roles in quality or purchase, etc. So please understand this. Getting job is first step, but getting the right job or the right project is the most important thing. So your focus should be on that always. Because if you don't know this thing, you may go in something which you are not really wanted to go, but nobody can help you there actually. It's only your knowledge and the skills that will only help get you to get you the correct job in industry anywhere. Now I'll talk about the career path in R&D. This is also important for you to know. If you want to be in a pure technical role, you can go in a pure technical role like an architect or chief engineer. This is possible. Or you can become a manager, say like after 10 or 15 years. So typically after 5 to 8 years you will become a project lead or technical lead. Okay, so again the company will ask your interest actually, what you want to do. So you have to based on your skills, how they assess you, whether if you are good or not. They will assess if they will suggest you to go. Okay, and or you can become a project manager. Okay, so here you have to manage engineering team. So here you are only managing project multiple teams and so on. Okay, so if you want to go in this role, it's good to do MBA. So you can do MBA after having at least 5 to 8 years of experience. Please don't do MBA before that if you want to work in R&D. You can do MBA if you want to go in purchasing or sales or marketing. But if you want to go in R&D, please don't do MBA till you get at least 5 years of experience. And you can do executive MBA. It's offered by IIM or other reputed institutes, and companies will sponsor these courses. So you need not spend anything from your side. Okay, so that's fine. Now it's a pure technical, but again if somebody want to become technical, you can become a technical principal architect, say in hardware or mechanical or software, or you can become a system architect, so they will define the complete architecture of system. Possible. And again I'm telling you, the salary of a technical role and manager role are equal in industry. It's not you need not become a manager to get a good salary. Okay, I mean you can be an engineer and you can get a much higher salary than a manager. That's normal in industry. Yeah? So it's not the title that make, it's what you do that make actually. Okay. So same like, what skill set you are paid for that, because signal processing applications are complex, so they pay you high. And the VLSI design is the most complex part, so they are going to pay you the highest actually. So that's the main thing. Now these are a typical production manufacturing structure. You will have factory manager, plant manager. He will manage the complete factory. You will have production manager and quality manager. They will manage the respective teams in quality and production. Whenever any fresher is hired, say in Tata Motors, okay, so Tata Motors has R&D and everything. Suppose you are not good in technical skills actually. Okay, they, for example, in Mahindra or Bajaj or Tata Motors you take, they do embedded system actually in their camp. They have a R&D. So don't think that they are doing only mechanical. They do embedded design actually, microprocessor based design or FPG based design actually. Okay. So if you are not good in technical, they can put you in production and quality or purchaser. You don't have any choice there. Please understand. And quality and regularity, as I told earlier, like you can see a laptop charge, you can see a lot of marking. It's very important for the to sell in that country. So there are different role in quality and regulatory. So I explained you about that before. So if a fresher is hired, they could be put in any of this actually. So what I mean to say here is that any company, when they hire you as a fresher, they will I'll put you in a project or in a team based on your skill set only, skill set and knowledge only. Okay. Because please understand that getting the job is one thing, and after that you don't really focus and you don't know what you skill set you should have. You may go in a different department actually in a company, and you work say more than 2 years in a different department. You cannot come back to R&D. Please understand that. R&D person can go in a different domain, but a quality or person, manufacturing person cannot come back to R&D. So please understand that actually. That's very important. So that is also one of the reason I'm, really, really focusing on this. You need to know the type of job in industry, then only, you will, able to, choose the right field. Okay. So always continuously learn actually. Use, this currently, you have a lot of time. Use this for online learning, and once you learn it, you go to college and implement it in a hardware platform. Then only your learning is completed. Certification alone will not have any value, because every student is having certification in one or another course. Only one, what they don't have is they don't have exposure to FPGs or DSPs. Okay, so that's a difference you will be having. And whatever effort you put, you are going to rewarded for it actually. So that's my point actually. So with this I completed. So we have another say almost half an hour for Q&A, question and answer. You can type actually. So I will sorry, 1 minute. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you can yeah, you can type your questions actually. I will answer. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Yeah, you can, if you have a question you can ask me, or you can type actually. Anything you can ask about any type of job, any skill set in core electronics, or higher studies, or anything you would like to
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Sir, how important are final year project for this placement in core company?
Final year projects are very, very important actually. Final year project, that is what I told you also. See, you assume that you can see, do any project, any application project you can do. But yeah, what a company really look into that is which platform you implemented. Assume that you can do same project in a DSP, you can do in a FPG, or you can do it in a, say maybe a PIC microcontroller, or you can do it in a ARM processor. Okay, assume that there are five say students, okay, joining, and some of them work on micro pick or other 801 type of things, that will be rejected straight away, because companies will look into a platform which is really attractive or which is really useful for them. So project is important, and more important is the platform which you are doing. Okay, and again, I'm telling you, when you select a project, select in the platform that is needed by the industry. Okay. Okay, so that is very important. So your project is, you need to have a, say, when you say any project, you need to try to have with the different senses and other things actually. So you can have a very good skills actually, because by doing that, you will learn about the communication protocols also. So have it in a platform that is required by industry. Okay, your title is important, project this is important, but equally important is the platform. Companies will look into that. And again, the skill set, as I told earlier. Okay, hope then. answer your question. Okay. So, and the next question is about the probability and other things actually. Okay, in machine learning, because why it is important is that in many application, your machine learning is combined with signal processing actually. So in there like you need to also know certain things how frequently it occurs and other things. You need to do the statistical analysis of the things actually. That's why it is important there. Okay, so you need to have a see if you want to go in signal processing, you need to know about see like a probability or statistics or this even Fourier transform and other things. That's very much required actually, because that is actually helping you, in implementing various thing in your algorithm. Okay. No, see, the next question is about the current. See, you need not worry about the current situation. See, current situation is only for some time. Okay, what you really need to focus is to have the right skill set. Assume that you already have a job in an IT company. I am again repeating you. Almost all the IT companies are working in core domain. Okay, only you should have the skill set which I have shown you in your resume. Then only you are going to get the project there. Okay, first of all. So now what you need to do is that you have few months time with you, so do some online learning courses, and you practice that in some of the evaluation boards actually, and have that in your resume, so automatically the value of a resume will improve. Okay, and about the PG diploma courses, I don't know now when CDAC and all they will start actually. I don't know, I mean, because how early they're going to start. So if you can do the PG diploma courses, that is also okay. But again, doing if you have money and time actually, then doing masters is even better, I would say. Because you will be anyway going in a senior position. See, PG diploma course is it is just a course. It is not adding any value. It is not a recognized degree or something. You do a CDAC, it is not recognized by anyone, but where BE is recognized, MTech is recognized. Okay, please understand that. There is no minimum age and all actually. There is nothing like that. But always, you need to see is that, suppose you have some gap in between your engineering. Sometime, company will be a bit reluctant to take you actually. So my point here is like this. As even we have a colleagues, who are PhD actually. Yeah. So PhD means, they are, maybe 28 to 29 actually. Been, so the so it's always try to avoid the gap in between actually. Okay, so that is what I told you again, to have a proper planning. Okay, so you if you want to go for higher studies, yes, you please do ME or MTech. Okay, and then you can try for job again. Please understand that you need to have the skill set actually. That is most important actually. Okay. So only focus on that actually, and try to avoid the gap actually. And another point I would like to tell you is that never look at the bigger company. Don't look the company by the size or the salary at starting of your career. Look at only what you're going to learn from there actually. You can say, for example, there are many small companies. Okay, they do a lot of good work. For example, you take a Rishabh Instruments in Nasik, they make multimedias. Okay, but they pay typically maybe half of what an IT company pays actually. But that doesn't matter. You're going to get a good core experience. You work there for 2 years, then you will get a more than what an IT engineers get, typical IT companies actually. Because at the end, your knowledge is, helping you to grow in your career and getting a good salary. Okay. So you don't worry about that. Only, don't worry about the situation also. Use it wisely, because see, a lot of talks, newspapers, so many things are that's going on actually. It's for a limited time actually. So that's what I'm telling you. That is that will affect IT companies, which is working mainly financial type of application. Core field is not impacted actually. For your information, you are working in any of these things, it's not impacted at all. And you might have heard like all IT companies are also laying off in between, and not only now, before also, but they will lay off only the people who are not working in core domain actually. Okay. There are a few more questions. Okay. Okay. No, gap. Will sometime create a problem actually as a fresher, because many companies will insist not to have more than this much gap. So that's what again I'm telling you. You can work in a small company or startups. So once you have experience, now nobody will bother whether you have a gap or not. That is not a matter actually for them. But as a fresher, it matters actually, because if you go to an IT company or a bigger company, they will ask you. Sometime even HR itself may reject you actually. I know such cases also actually, because they're understandable. The view is that way actually, like because you are not in touch with this the academics and sometime actually, so that may cause a problem. So it's better you start in a small company. Okay, you can have a lot of small companies in different cities in India. say Hyderabad, or in Pune, or Nasik, or wherever it is. Okay, so you choose that actually. Try to avoid the gap. That is my recommendation to you. Don't look at the salary, look at the work, what you're going to let your first 4 years in your career is very important actually, if you are in a technical field. I'm talking about only technical field here. Okay. Then yeah, there are more questions actually. I will answer all of them. Okay. Arduino, see, now you can do the project in Arduino is okay, but as I told you again earlier is that please do project in DSP board and FPGA board. It's a must if you want to work in R&D. That I'm repeatedly telling you. And again, Arduino is not so advanced board, so you can do project in Raspberry, because Arduino is bit outdated, you can say, because they got low end ARM processors with the less peripherals and other things. But the same project, you can implement in a Raspberry Pi, for example, that has got a good processor. You will get a lot of things to learn there, because they have got a different modules, so you can use that in your project. Okay, so try to do something which is more advanced, because I see, for example, I've given this session for over 1,200 students, across so many colleges. Okay, so most of the students are asking this question, so I'm the same thing telling, and even I've evaluated some final year engineering projects also. So most of the students select Arduino. The reasons are few. One is, it's cheap. Second thing is that they will get a lot of ready-made examples from net. So just put it that your project is ready. So please don't go in shortcut. Okay, so use something, use it, because you are working as a project team, right, of 4 people, right? So you are 3 or 4, right? So you can use something which is really good. So please don't go in that direction. Okay. Then I know, you are a post graduation. This is a bit tricky question. I will tell you, the reasons. See, for your information, I am doing my second masters now, for example. Me, or many of my colleagues actually, and I'm doing my second masters in VLS and embedded in Pune University. Okay, so what happens is that when you're working and doing, you can't really focus on your masters. Okay, so it won't work properly. So my recommendation is that that bits Pilani is a work learning program like MTech in embedded or automotive or microelectronics. You may be aware of it, right? But I won't really recommend that, because that won't add really that much knowledge in you. Then when you're studying in a college as a full-time student, what opportunity you're going to get, that is really different. So my suggestion is that if you can afford financially and you can wait 2 more years to earn money, please go for a full-time program. Okay, because doing part time, because you can't predict about your work, because sometimes you'll have too much work, then you can't really do many things actually. You'll be doing for the sake of having master's degree, because that will not really help you really. You see, I mean, I've done my first master's degree full time actually. So when you work with the professors, you will get to know a lot of knowledge actually, whereas you work in a company or remote learning. I mean, say like in bits Pilani and other things, it's not that much valuable, because a lot of my friends are also doing. Even this is what there is. It's for, in my resume I can say I have a MTech. It's something like that actually. So you decide now what you want to do. So my suggestion, if you can afford, please go for a full-time program. Okay. Yes, internship in Siri is very good. Internship not only in Siri, internship in BSNL, anywhere it is good. You can do internship in a car manufacturing company. You will get to know what all process they follow, how the manufacturing is done, how robotics are used. Again, robotics is an application of embedded system. So you will get to know many things. All type of learning is good. Say for example, you are doing a voluntary work, social service. That is again a learning. How that is going to help you, because even companies also give preference to that. You do a social work because your communication behavior skill is going to help you there, because you know how to talk to different people, how to get the things done. So anywhere you do any type of interaction, it's going to help you. Okay. uh, See, learning language, I'm telling you, language is nothing actually. I'm telling you, language is just a tool. Many students have a misunderstanding that learning, 10 language is going to help you. It is not like that. You need to have a very good basic knowledge, the core domain knowledge, and language is a tool to implement it. So if you know C, it is good enough. But ensure if you want to go in a core electronics, as I told you, the signal processing or IoT or AI or normal embedded, please ensure that you learn MATLAB. It's a must to have in your resume. Okay, it's compulsory. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, so select the domain. Select the domain again. You decide what you want to do. It is you have to decide. I told you different type of jobs and the what each job does and the what each domain does. Okay, suppose you want to go in hardware, you should have very good fundamental knowledge. You should be interested to do. Yeah, if you are going, in say embedded domain, you should be ready to work in DSP processor or FPGA because everything keeps on changing. Okay, so you should decide. Okay, and you should have good knowledge on programming also. Because you need to be, because sometime, say you may C or C++. Sometime you may have to even program in assembly language, or a combination of assembly and C, because it all depends. Okay, or sometime you might have to do programming in HDL in an FPGA. So you should be ready if you want to go in that. So you have to decide. Okay, and every field has opportunity. Yeah, I don't think that only in one has opportunity. Not true. Okay. See, PLC and SCADA is also used in industry. So there are two type of things. PLC, one is a designing of a PLC or SCADA system. That's a core electronics. Okay, and another thing is using PLC and SCADA in your factory or in to make something actually. So that is the sort of type of integration and testing type of activity. Yes, there are a lot of opportunities in there also. Actually, you can see in industry. But if you are interested in R&D, I won't recommend you to go there, because this type of field, the problem is that it will affect your career growth and salary actually. I mean, if you, because see, at the end of the day, your career growth is important. That is also important for you. Another thing is the salary, because that also make very important, right? So many people, the salary will not go up typically, because they don't have that much good technical knowledge actually. So that's also the reason now online learning becomes so popular actually. Like even 90% of the experienced engineers are doing online courses now, only for this reason. Okay. uh, no, you see, it is not necessary you have to do MTech in IIT. You can do MTech in NIT or in any government colleges, or even in your college. If you have a good lab facility and other things, so there is nothing like that. It's not mandatory to have MTech from IIT. I have not done MTech from IIT. Okay, so but nothing, I mean, and a lot of my colleagues are, MTech from IIT, but there is really no difference, in what I earn or what they earn, or everything actually. There is nothing like that. It's just, only the difference in IIT is that you'll have a lot of good infrastructure, good professors, and again the brand, and you will get a good, job, in company. But at the same time, you do in MTech from any other college, you have a good the same knowledge. I mean, you can learn actually, as I told you, what you have, should have in your skills. If you have learned those things, okay, and then again you can try in a good company and get it. There's nothing like that. Again, everything is your skill that matters. Okay. uh, no. Philips does not offer internship for B, only MTech actually. MTech only from typically from IIT. Your students we offer projects actually. There's no BE projects actually for Philips. So you can try for internship or the projects, in there are that's what I told you. There are a lot of small companies or startup. I don't know how many companies are in Nagpur actually, but I can tell you there are many in Pune or in Hyderabad actually. Okay, so you can try. That's what I told you, to have a Google search and LinkedIn, and you could find a lot actually. Okay, and gain good experience, then it is easy for you to get in companies like Philips. Because as a fresher, it is a bit difficult, because we have our HR policy, to recruit normally MTechs from IIT, or sometimes COIP Pune. Okay, so something like that. So that's their policy. So it will depending on company to company. That's why. Okay. Uh, No, see, you work, as I told you again, this question is about testing. As I told you again, all IT companies work on core technology. For example, Wipro, TCS, all of them work on signal processing or IC design, front end or back end, or different part of the IC design, for example. What a product company will look is that what your work actually. For example, you work on embedded testing, okay, and you try in Philips, for example. We recruit, no problem if you have this skill set, okay. But you working in say financial software, we won't recruit you, because you are not work on core domain, okay. See, sometimes what happens is that that is what again I'm telling you. You work in core domain, you can try any industry, but if you work in an IT company in a financial application, you will never get in a product company anymore. Your chance is gone actually. So then you can work only in IT company. But you work in FPGA, DSP, or embedded or any applications in the signal processing and all, you can work in a Philips or a G or any company actually. Okay. So that's very important. So you have to see in which type of testing you are doing. Are you going to do some testing on an embedded system? Then yes, of course, yes. It's an experience counted. But if you work in a financial software, we will never call you for interview. Your interview resume will be rejected on the spot. because your experience is irrelevant actually for us, it's like that. Okay. And they will not even consider at all actually, they will not even consider that as an experience, and they will reject the resume straight away. Okay. Online internship now, see, doing online internship, to me, it's not really worth actually, because see, the moment you work really, then only you can, how you are going to work on a hardware platform actually online, you can't work, right? You can't work. And this is, see, this all what you are seeing online, or this is all short term actually. Then another 3 4 months things will be normal, so again you can go back actually, so don't worry about it actually. Please do really on-site internship, because there only you will learn. Because see, online, see, I'm giving the lecture online now, right? Okay, I had given the lecture in college also. So when I'm coming to college, say for example, it will be more interactive, right? And we can have a more time to discuss. Same way, when you're doing, internship on on site, you will able to work on the platform hardware boards, because they will not give you the boards and complete things to you, right? You assume that you have a FPGA board, okay, and when you develop a HDL code and test it, you may need to use oscilloscopes also, right? So you cannot have oscilloscope at your home, right? For example, or sometime, you need to generate some signals, okay, you need a function generators, right? You cannot have it, right? So it's always good to do on site actually. So that's my recommendation actually. And another aspect is that you can look it in AC. You can do internship in a BSNL, so you will get to know about the communicate equipments, how the things works. Okay, that you can use in any industry, right? At the end, because that is a learning actually, how things are done, how they take care. Because you see, in BSNL, you take BSNL is not designed in designing anything. It's coming from Cisco or Alcatel or different companies, right? So they will integrate everything and they will use it. So you will get to know more about testing and integration aspect if you go the for the internship there actually. Okay. So internship you try to do on site actually, that's my recommendation. Because of online it will not work really, when you can't do anything, right? I mean, you can do normal C plus such programs and other things actually if you are developing in something. Yes, possible. Say for example, in a domain where you do something in PC based image processing or something, it is possible. But it's always good to do on site, because that will also help you, to uh, uh, you know that will really help you also to learn about the process how they follow, and also to interact with people really physically, that will improve your communication skills and technical knowledge overall. Okay. Then next question is about MATLAB resource. What do you mean to say? MATLAB, you can get, the tool. I'm sure you'll have it in your college. And there are a lot of books also actually, on that. And online learning options are also there. Nowadays, even MathWork is offering a MATLAB online courses, for AI and different domains. Even you can do that actually. Hope that answer you. Okay. Okay. Yes, of course, you have this skill set and you have a good these things now, then definitely you will get job in any company. You have, because you have got a good knowledge. And again, I'm telling you, you need not learn all the Python or 4 5 languages. So you be master in one language. Yeah? That's what I'm telling you. Many time what happens is that many things actually. So you should be master in all that. Because when you say like interview, you will have everything in your resume. They will ask you each and everything. See how we do interview is that we will see your resume. We will interview based on your resume, whatever you write. Then next level is the next round is basic actually. Okay, so you ensure that when you say like you work on an FPGA board, okay, you should be able to answer, how the architecture of FPGA and what all the other peripherals are used in the board. That's a very important. And many time what students lack is that we'll ask them, okay, why you just draw me the block diagram of Arduino or Raspberry Pi. They will not be able to do that. You should know that. That's very important. Why each parts are important, how it is interfaced with how the data is transferring between different components and so on. You should be able to do. Okay. So you can get a job in any company. So only thing is that you keep on applying. Don't look only like the online, I mean, so with their website requirement. Because my point here is that you have a more and more skills actually. You are also one way counted as an experienced engineer, say like 2 year. That's my point actually. For you to have a more experience, then study thoroughly, and then you can try in any companies. And don't look at the company size when you join. Always look at what work you will be doing actually. Only focus on that and gain some good experience. For example, you want to work in Pune in Singapore, you have a company called Wavelite actually. It's one of the best company. They do excellent work actually, FEGDs and all of that they do actually. And there are like that Scientech in Indore. There are many more companies you can find if you search in Google, in Pune or in different cities actually. Okay. No, hardware engineer. I told you the skill set required. Hardware become a hardware engineer, you need to know how to draw schematics, how to simulate the circuits. Then you need to know HDL. Then you need to know one DSP, one processor, one FPGA. Then the most important, the communication protocols, of course. Then the most important thing is you should know about resistor thoroughly. You should know what were the capacitors, inductors, resistors, sorry, diodes, even different op-amp behaviors. You should know about circuit design and electromagnetics, radiation or microwave. All of them are required actually. Okay. Because in your hardware interview will be generally tough actually, because I'm in hardware domain. So I can tell you, typically, the success rate, to get as a hardware engineer is only 20% actually. So when I interview, say, 10 people, I take only two, so I mean to say it's very complex actually. I mean, I can ask you any question on different type of capacitor, why it is different, and why, can I use, why it can be used in certain applications. You should, because you are studying it in engineering in the first year. So you need to, refresh, and keep on focusing in that actually. Okay. You need to have a fundamental knowledge of your transistor to op amp to PLLs to ADC, DSC, everything. Yeah. In addition to that, others like FPGA, DSPs, and processors. Okay, architecture, and power voltage regulators, power supplies, and transformers or rectifiers, and then HDL and Verilog, because sorry, HDL and C, because sometime your company may expect to design some test code actually to test the hardware. That's why. Okay. No, then the next question is, what if I know VHDL? Again, I'm telling you, if you know one HDL, it is enough. If you know one language, it is enough. But MATLAB is mandatory. Yeah? You need not know Python and all. Okay, because if you know VHDL, and you can learn Verilog actually. Okay, so that is fine actually. Nobody bother you. Bother for that actually. See, even the company requirement, they will tell you Verilog actually. Okay, I work on, see, I did, for your information, I did training in Verilog, many years ago. And, then when I work in South Korea, so my first project was in VHDL. So even the company did not bother actually. So they asked me, do you know HDL? I told, yes, I work. And then I learned and I did actually. So you can do it actually. It's not required. Only one. Don't learn everything. Learn something, one of them, but learn thoroughly. Actually, that's more important. Because in the interview, you'll able to, uh, you know, so you can, learn other things. Actually, that is what company also expect, right? You assume that you don't know assembly language, okay, and you're going to some TSP, some part of your coding you may have to do in assembly language, right? Because that is more efficient, okay. So what happens is that they will give you time to learn actually. Okay. So you don't think that, see, I'm in industry since last 18 plus years. So for your information, I have not even studied FPG. I have not studied 8051 and all, okay, in my engineering 20 years back. But I work on all of them, right? So you keep on learning actually, either online learning or self learning, or you can attend some courses and keep on learning actually. Focus on one thing, but ensure that thoroughly actually. Okay. And another question, if I don't know language, any domain, so you can work as a quality engineer, you can work as a production engineer, or you can work as a purchase engineer, or you can work in sales or marketing. It's up to you. That's what I told you. There are different type of jobs in industry. It's not only for R&D engineers. Only with R&D engineers you cannot make any product, right? We need a quality engineers to ensure the quality. We need test engineer to test the product. We need somebody to manufacture. We need somebody to service it and sell it, right? So why I'm telling you, in hardware also some companies will ask you these things, because sometimes you may have to develop a testing actually, because I've also I had similar issues actually. Okay. Okay. And then okay. Uh, no, no, there is nothing with the salaries of a digital analog design engineer. There is nothing different as such actually. And don't look in that way actually. Now, salary is not everything, right? Because see, you do good work, you will get salary, and never bargain for salary. When you are looking as a fresher, never look that, because that is treated as a very negative and offense actually. Please understand. If even for experience also, if somebody is too much demanding in salary, company will straight away reject actually, because every company, the time is gone that you need not fight for the salary. Every company will pay actually. Why not? They have their own different salary standards. Please never ask the question related to salary in any interview. it will be treated as an offense actually. Okay, as a fresher. And even for experience also, they will ask your current salary and they will decide, okay, because they knows actually how much they have to pay for you. Okay. So the same salary, there is no difference, so only you need to have the skills actually. And again, it's sort of a mixed, you cannot not always be an analog design engineer. Sometimes you have to be mixed signal, because sometimes analog and digital circuits you have to design, because you cannot always be the same. You should be flexible. So assume that you have a good in analog design engineer, you can work that as an analog, then later you can learn these things and project they will put you in a digital design engineer or a mixed signal also. So you cannot predict actually. Okay. uh, okay. So I mean, there are opportunities in both, and there are so many companies actually. You can type more questions actually. I think we have some more time. Okay. If you have any questions on higher studies or a different type of jobs and other things. Okay. Focus on fundamentals. First and foremost thing is plan what you want to do after your engineering. Decide the path. I mean, based on your interest and skill set, never look for some salary or growth. If you're not good in that, please don't go in that domain, because every company, the evaluation is very strict. If you're not good, you cannot perform also well sometime. So it's very important. You'll be under tremendous pressure. In data science, yes, there are opportunities actually. It is typically for computer science students. Of course, you can also get it actually. There are many companies working on it actually. Okay. So focus on fundamental, decide your field, then really understand what is the requirement. That's why I explained you also the typical skills required. Try to learn all of them. Okay, it is required. That's why, because the way DSP works is different, the FPGA works is different, and processor works is different. Okay, and whenever any company, I mean. Whenever any company hire somebody, they will always see. So why I'm telling you the repeatedly this is that many time when I've given the lecture to students, so they were telling that whenever we are trying for some small or core companies, they are asking for 2 years experience. Okay, but having these skill sets in your resume is equal to some experience. Okay, so my point is here, you will get more opportunities. Okay, I will share the PPT with sir actually, part of almost part of it actually. Okay. uh, no, you want to go for MTech means you should have gate score, right? Then only you will get MTech admission, right? So now you decide in which field you want to do. As I told you, in electronics you can do in communication to embedded to VLSI to signal processing, or many more specialization like biomedical or automotive. But there are so many specialization, right? You decide what you want to do. If you want to go in embedded, you can do in embedded actually. So same way, I have shown you what is the skill set required by industry. Assume don't think that having MTech degree without skills will easily get you job. No, that is mandatory of the skill set. But why doing MTech, the main difference what you get is that you will learn more deep in different topics. And also, since you have a MTech dissertation, where you do a lot of literature survey, actually you are more thinking in terms of research, and other things will broaden actually. So a BE and ME MTech student, that is the difference. You will have a more deeper knowledge and a more broader thinking perspective actually, because you are doing project alone, not as a team. Okay, so you are doing project alone, so you will have more learning path actually there. So for me, my idea is that, okay, already you have a good gate score. Okay, you have few months now, so what you can do is that you can learn suppose you want to go in embedded, then you please do some courses, online courses in embedded related, or FPGAs or IoTs or signals. That's good actually for you. And then when you join the course, you can do some practicals on that actually. That will help you there. Okay. You can still type, and I am okay to have some more time. If you have more questions, it's also good to clear your doubts, and to make you aware of those aspects. Okay. Continuously, you learn the things actually, and learn the things and try to implement it, and then you will get hands-on experience. When you try to do something in a DSP board, you will face a lot of issues. Then you for to correct that, you will do a lot of searching and other things, then you will learn actually. So that will be there always with you, and that will also give a huge impact in your career actually, because it will give a good impression to the person who interviews you. That will show you that you're ready to learn, because every company want a person who is ready to learn actually, you know eager to learn, I would say. because that is one of the good behavior, eager to learn, to new things and other things, because that is important for you if you want to be in R&D actually. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We can wind up. So if you have one, two more questions, we can ask. We can close it in 5 minutes actually. Okay, and if you have, please type it faster so that So, but the most important thing again, I'm repeatedly telling you, have a proper planning what you want to do. Okay, that's the most important. You have to decide your career. Means you have to decide the field what you want to go, because this is a question interview. Every interview will ask you first. Okay, because your interview also will move in that direction. Okay, if you are clear that you want to go in VLSI design, for example, when you are attending campus interview in Wipro, for example, they will ask you question on that actually. Whereas if you don't have any answer, they will reject you first of all, because you don't have any objective, because that will be big negative for you. Okay, so and again that will help you also to focus on the subject actually, and it will help you to find the companies that is working in that field, and then learn actually what is required. So that I've shown you today what all skill set companies will look actually when they get your resume, and then you will get an interview call, and then interview call again, study the resume thoroughly. uh, Study the resume thoroughly, because they will ask each and every things what is written resume, then basics. Yeah, you need not worry anything about campus placement. See, all are not getting through campus placement, right? So you search in Google and LinkedIn, you can find hundreds of companies in your field of interest. There are hundreds of startups, there are many small companies. Try to find job yourself. Have a good resume. That is what I'm explaining you again. I have shown you what is required by company, in any company, small scale startup or big companies. Okay, anywhere, not only in anywhere you go. So have that in your resume, learn that, have it in your resume, then keep on trying actually. Don't get dejected if you didn't get selected in campus interview or in one company. There are hundreds of companies, but you should be flexible. So sometime you may have to go to Hyderabad or in Chennai or to Bangalore or anywhere to work, or in Noida. I mean, you should be flexible. You can't always say like I have to work in Pune or somewhere, because sometimes what happens, you will not get jobs. So then you don't have any option, right? Be flexible. Learn the things. Focus on the fundamentals. Have the right skills in resume to get an interview call. Study the resume thoroughly. Learn the new technologies, multiple platforms. Focus on the basics. Okay. VLSA engineer, I mean, see, I told you, VLSA engineers, you need all the skills what I told you. You need to have good knowledge on digital design, analog design, semiconductors, everything is mandatory. You cannot you don't have any shortcut there. You need to know in and out of semiconductors, how the ICs to be manufactured, about transistor, diodes, resistors, everything actually. Digital electronics and HDL, it's a must actually. For your information, VLSA design I paid for highest. At this same time, to get in a VLSA company, you need to have at least 5 to 8 rounds of interview. So hope you know how much complex that will be. So there will be an engineer who will, interviewer who will interview only about the semiconductor physics. They'll ask you about the semiconductor process and transistor. There will be another engineers who will be asking about digital design, logic designs. Okay, another person will be asking you about HTL. Okay, somebody else will be asking about analog parts. Somebody will be asking about your electromagnetic compatibility or electromagnetic waves or radiations. Okay, so you have to that's what I told you. VLSI is the toughest field to get, and that is also the reason that is the highest paid actually. But so they are paid almost 3 to 5 times than a typical IT engineer gets actually. Okay, so you need to there is no shortcut there. When you are paying higher more, the interview also will be more tough actually, because the expectation is too high, right? Because ICDCN is the most expensive process. So you study end to end actually. Study your electronics devices full actually. They can ask you anything. They can ask you to draw the the behavior of the parts at different temperature, how you're going to correct, and everything actually. And VLSI design to HDL to all of them. It's must. Okay, and lot of opportunities. I don't think there is no fabrication in India, but there are tens of thousands of VLS engineers, and lot in Bangalore mainly, then some in Hyderabad, some in Pune, Chennai, Noida, and other places. Okay, all IT companies are also working on that. If you have good skills there, they will give you project in that. That's what I told you. Your resume should have the right skill set, then only they will get to know. Because you cannot tell any company, because assume I'll give a brief overview of that. For example, Wipro does VLSI design in say Cochin in Kerala or in Bangalore or Chennai, etc. Okay, so assume that you are recruited say in by Wipro Pune. Okay, so they work on different things. But if you don't have these things in your resume, what happens is that they will put you for a project in that actually. But if you have some skills in that, and if they are fine with the skills, okay, because that is good for that type of project, immediately they will move you to Bangalore actually into VLSI project. I hope you understand, right? So you need to have that skill set. Then only you are going to get the project. And same way, you assume you join in Philips. Okay. So for example, we work on different things actually. So if you're having good skill set, you get a good project actually like that. Otherwise, you will get some project which is not so advanced, you can say. So at the end, whatever project you work, the more advanced things you work, your career growth is very good actually. Okay. So I think hope that answers to you overall. So is that fine, sir? Now?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and especially thank you, sir, for this power pack webinar. I hope all the points has been covered by you,
Yeah.
and all the queries of the student has been addressed properly. Thank you very much, sir, for your precious time.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for inviting me. Okay, okay, then can
Okay.
we close now?
Yes.
Okay, then. Bye.